Okay, we're live. August 3rd, 5 o'clock Indian Standard Time, and I want to welcome you. One moment, please. Honey, I'm live. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a quick thing that I had to take care of, and somehow I lost the share. So let's go back to this. Here we go. Okay, so okay, so my name is Martin, and I am with my IELTS Tutor, and this is our Wednesday 5 o'clock live session, and today I'm going to be talking about IELTS writing. So looks like we have some people joining us. Do say hello. I'd like to see who's joined. And at the end of the session, I will be doing a question and answer period but I do ask that you keep your answers to the topic. In today's topic, we're going to talk about writing, as you saw from the title, essential tips for writing. And the tips I'm going to talk about apply to all writing tasks, whether it's task 1 or task 2. They apply to both. So let's move on. So 8-band writing tips. These tips will get you to 8 bands. Well, we have some more people. Do say hello. Those of you who have joined, do say hello. I want to know who's joined me. I'm going to enjoy having you guys here. Okay, so what are some of the tips that, we lost some people now. What are some of the tips that you could help you get 8 bands? What are those? What do you think those are? Does anyone have any idea what tips can help you score 8 bands in writing, no matter what the task is, whether it's task 1 or task 2? Hello, Jasmine. Nice to see you. So any idea what those tips are? Let's see if your tips and my tips match, and that might be fun. So type in your tips. But it's important that, you know, the tips I'm going to share with you really help you in establishing a good, solid essay or letter, or even if you're taking academic, that chart analysis. So hello, Ravi, nice to see you. So any idea? Hello, Vishal. So any tips, any ideas what the tips might be? Or shall we begin? Why don't we get started? Okay, so 8-band tips. I have, these are the tips. The first one is read and understand the task. Now, I've talked about this before in my previous videos regarding the IELTS essays. Okay, I even devoted a whole live session to understanding the essay prompt. Okay. But it's really important that you read and understand the tasks. This is the #1 thing that you need to do. And I'll explain this more in detail. The next thing is to plan your work. And again, throughout all my, pretty much all my recent videos on the essay, I do talk about planning your work. But you still need to plan, whether it's task 1, for either general or academic, you still need to plan, just like you need to plan for your essay. Then, next thing is you need to stick to the topic. And you'll hear me, you've heard me say this a lot here, whether I'm talking about speaking in the essay, if you're taking coaching from somewhere, hopefully from us, from my IELTS Tutor. If you want to know more about us, be sure to click on the button below. But sticking to the topic, that's important as well. And I'll get into that later. You want to include all the information that's required. So you need to make sure that you include all the information, the required information. Okay, now I'll tell you where to find that, and I'll give you an idea of what that required information is based on the task. Okay, the next thing is you want to use the correct format for organizing your task, whether it's for the letter. The letter has to follow a particular format. If you're taking academic IELTS, and for the chart analysis, you have to have a particular format, and certainly for the essay, and we'll discuss those type of formats. Then you have to ensure proper paragraphing. So that's important. Paragraphing is very important in scoring high in IELTS writing. And then going beyond the word limit. You know, you have your word limits, but they're minimums. They're not maximums. So going beyond that. And I'll explain why later. And then save time for editing. This is also important, and not many people do this. So you need to save time for editing. So any questions so far? Do write your questions. I'll answer them at the end of this session. And then for those of you who's joined, do say hello. Nice to see who's joining me. Okay, so let's continue. Now, our first tip is to read and understand the task. Okay, this is important. And the reason why you want to do this is so that you can understand the following things. First, the overall topic. This is important for the essay because you need to understand the overall topic. For the letter, you need to understand what the topic is or what the purpose of the letter is. Why are you writing that letter? Okay, and to whom? And then you also want to read so you have an idea of what information is to be included. So for a letter, you have bullet points. Okay, you have bullet points that you need to include. And actually, I'm going to go through these individually and show you. Okay. Oh, Vishal, I'll answer that at the end okay? So that's an interesting question, but please keep your questions about writing, okay? IELTS writing, because that's what we're talking about today. Okay, so, but again, information to be included, and I have examples for each particular task of what type of information you want to include for the writing. Then reading and understanding the task gives you an idea of how to write it, how to go about it, okay? So now this is our first example. It's general task 1, and it's a letter. So what do we need to include here? What's included here? So what do we understand by reading this? Actually, that's the question. What do we understand by reading this? First of all, who is the letter to? It's a friend. You can see here, write a letter to this friend. You would like a part-time job while you're studying, so you ask a friend who lives there. So you're writing, so we understand that it's to a friend. And because of that, we also know that the letter is going to be an informal tone. They're not going to. And that's something I want to talk about when I talk about how to write a letter for general tasks, okay? So that's important. So we need, each letter has a specific tone, and you want to make sure you get the correct tone, the tone correct. So since we know it's to a friend, we now understand that the tone of the letter needs to be informal. Okay, hello, Manish. Nice to see you. Okay, then we also know what to include. So we need to talk about details about studies. And we see this based in the first, in the first bullet point. Then the next thing, give reasons for why for a part-time job. That's the second bullet point. And then third, suggestions of how the friend can help. That's the third bullet point. So we understand now these are the things that we need to, these are the things we need to understand from this entire letter prompt, okay? So that's what we want to get out of that. Those are the things that we're looking for. Now, for academic, this is our example. What will we understand here? Okay, first of all, what's being measured? Okay, from this, it's life expectancy of South Africa. Okay, the time period from 1960 to 2015. Okay, that's important to know for our chart analysis. Then specific data sets, and I know this is small, but we have the data sets of male, female, and all, meaning combined, male and female combined. And then another thing is the main features. The main features are, what are the significant things that that the data is telling us? So for instance, overall, we can see that males have the highest life expectancy and females have the lowest. Another thing is we can see that for all the data sets, they tend to have a very similar trend throughout the entire time period as well. And then we're looking at how the data, and that's one aspect of how the data is similar, because that's something we need to look at as well. We want to make comparisons where relevant. You know, if you can see up here, it says make comparisons where relevant. So if we look at all the data sets, they all have the same, follow the same trend over time. Okay, so those are the things that we come to understand and know, and they're important that we know and understand them for this particular task. Now for the essay, that's our next one. You know, it's talking about environmental problems that can be solved through international cooperation, or it should be a national priority. So we're told to discuss both sides and then give our own opinion. So what do we understand from this one? First thing is the overall topic. Environmental problems, you know, or basically how should environmental problems be solved? Solving environmental problems. Now, another thing we have to understand and get to know is both views. What are the two viewpoints being expressed? Okay, so one side says international cooperation, the other says national responsibility. Now, how to write this? We get to know how to write this from the instructions, discuss both sides and give your opinion. So that's what we get out of this, okay? That's what we understand from this essay prompt. And those are the things we need in order to write our essay. So, and then we also need to give our opinion too. So that's an important thing too. So now let's move on. Planning. Planning. I talked about planning about your essay. It applies to your essay, but it also applies to the other tasks too. Now, the importance of planning, let's talk about that. Now, it helps to understand the topic. That, you know, when we talked to, you know, the last few slides, we talked about reading, understanding the task. That's the first step of planning, okay? That's the first step of planning. So it when we plan, you know, planning helps understand the topic, identify the important information to include, which we did that really in our you know, previous slides for the different tasks, and then know how to write this. So this is especially true when it comes to the essay, okay? Even the letter too, because it tells us, when we read the letter, it tells us what tone to take in the letter. Okay. And then in planning, more importantly, provides us a map, a guide of how we're going to write our essay. And the most important thing is it helps keep us focused. It really helps keep us focused and keeps us from going off topic. And that's another important consideration. Okay, just like I said, helps us stay on topic. Now, the steps for planning. Planning is slightly different for each task, but involves the following, okay? Now, for essay, how to plan for the essay, go back and watch my video about 2 months ago where I talk about how to plan your essay, okay? And then the last 5 videos I did, live sessions, I talked about how to plan each individual essay type. And for review, I really encourage you guys to do that. Now, the first thing, of course, you want to read and understand the entire question. Then you want to identify the information that you need to include, that you need to use. And it's there in the essay prompt, in the letter prompt, in the data, and the introduction to the chart, okay? Then you want to brainstorm for relevant points. This is for the general task and essay, or if you're taking academic IELTS, you want to analyze the data. You want to analyze the data, okay? And then the final step is deciding on organizing. And this is basically how you're going to organize your paragraphs, okay? This is important, especially for the essay, for the letter as well, okay? Now, let's move on. Now, sticking to the topic, this is important. As I said before, now what you write, now let me explain why it's important. You see, what you write must be relevant to the topic. This means that everything you write must be directly related to the topic. If it's not, then you will lose points. You will not score. If you do not stick to the topic, you will not score above 5 bands for task achievement. And this will affect your overall band score. So it's really important that you stick to the topic. Do not stray, okay? Now, including required information. Now, I'm going to give you an idea of here what to include for each particular task. For general task 1, we include the topic. What's the letter about? Okay. Is it about making an apology or making a complaint or asking advice or making a request? So whatever that is, you need to include that. Then you have all those bullet points that you need to talk about. You need to talk about those bullet points. Now for academic task 1, you need to include all the main features of the chart, okay? Now, later on, I'm not sure when I'll cover this, but soon I'll cover how to do academic task 1 and general task 1. But you need to include all the main features. Then you want to talk about, and then of course you need to include the time period. You want to include all the data sets as well. Now for the essay, you want to include the topic, the viewpoints that are expressed in the essay prompt, and then the points to discuss. Now this could be your main points that support your thesis, or the advantages and disadvantages, the 2 viewpoints that you need to discuss, such as in our previous example here, or problems and solutions, okay? That's what you need to include. And then finally, you need to include your thesis, which is your opinion about the topic. All right, now, using the correct format for the task, okay? Now this is about paragraph organization, okay? And so we follow, for each task, we follow a different order of paragraphs, okay? And so in some of these, they can be one line or one sentence only, depending on the task. And if it's one sentence only or one line, it's going to be for the general task one, the letter. So, but for the general task, we follow this pattern. We start with our greeting, then we have our opening statement, body paragraphs, where we talk about the bullet points. Then we have our closing statement, and then we sign off. Now, I'm not going to go into details about these because then it would just be too long. But again, I will go into depths on task one, for each task one, general and academic, later in different videos. Now for academic task one, we have our introduction, our overview, and the overview is basically an overview of the data on the chart. And then we have our body paragraphs. We're talking about individual data sets. Then for task two, we have our introduction, our body paragraphs, and our conclusion. And that's it. That's all. That's the paragraph. That's the organization that we want to follow for these particular tasks. Okay. Now, for review on the essay, go back through my previous 2 months of videos, actually 2+ months of videos here on YouTube, on how to write, plan, and write the introduction, write the conclusion, write the body paragraphs for the essay, and then for each type of essay. So I have videos on all those. And I really encourage you guys to watch those. Okay, so now let's move on. Our next tip is proper paragraphing, okay? So writing must be organized into paragraphs, okay? It's important that we do write in paragraphs, okay? Now, if you don't write in paragraphs, everything's all lumped together, you won't score above 4 bands for coherence and cohesion. That's one of the criteria for scoring IELTS writing, okay? And if you don't properly paragraph, you won't go above 4 bands, and this will affect your overall band score. So where you could have great vocabulary, great writing, and you complete the task in terms of content. You include everything. You could get like an 8, but end up with, say, a 6.5. You know, so really pays to paragraph. Make sure. So here's a good tip for you. You want to skip a line after finishing a paragraph to start a new one. Okay, and this is very simple. If you're taking computer-based IELTS, you just double tap the enter key when you finish a paragraph. If you are taking the paper-based IELTS, go down to 2 lines and then start your next paragraph, okay? Now here's an example, okay? So this is for a chart, task 1 academic. And if you look at this, you can see there's clearly defined space between each paragraph. And that's what you want, a clear defined space between each paragraph. That's why we skip a line. And by doing this, we show that each paragraph is clear and distinct, apart from the one above and the one below, okay? And so when we do this, it shows good organization. It shows our thinking and things like that. So that's what we want. That's why we want to have paragraphs, to have each paragraph stand out. Okay, now let's move on. Go beyond the word limits. Now, you might think this is crazy, but note here on the screen, word limits are minimums. This means you write no less than, okay? So for task 1, you write no less than 150 words. Okay, if you write for task 2, no less than 250. If you write less than that, all right, if you write less than that, it will affect your score. You are more likely to get a lower score in task completion. And remember, there's no maximum word limit. There's no maximum. So for task 1, you could write 200 words. And as long as you stick to the topic, it's fine. Task 2, you can write 300 words, 350. As long as you stick to the topic, it's fine. All right. Yeah, and as I said, not meeting word limit will lower your score and score for task achievement. And again, that will affect your overall band score. Okay. So tips. This is important. Don't count words. Stop counting words. If you're counting words, you are wasting your time. Complete waste of time. What you should do is focus on quality, not quantity. When you focus on quality, you will develop. You're working on developing ideas with relevant details. Moreover, you're explaining and describing your points in detail. Okay? And then you're expanding and elaborating on your ideas. Okay? This is important. And when you do this, you're going to write strong, good, effective for the essay, good, strong, effective essay. Good, strong letters, good, strong analysis of charts. Okay? So don't worry about how many words you wrote. Focus on the quality of your writing. If you do that, you will go beyond the minimum word limit and you'll write a very good, and as long as you stay on topic, you will write a good piece of writing, whether it's the letter, task analysis, chart analysis, or essay. I guarantee it. I really do. So don't bother with word counting words. All right. Now, our final tip is save time for proofreading, and this is important. Okay. So examiners expect you to do the following: plan, execute. Plan. This means, and we talked about planning. Execute means to actually write. So plan, write, and revise. They expect you to spend some time revising your work at the end. Okay. So you want to save 2 minutes at the end of time, at the time period to edit your work. Okay. Now, if you finish early, and it is possible to finish early, use the remaining time for editing. Okay. Because then you can really eliminate a lot of good errors. So, and the type of errors you want to look for: grammar, correcting grammatical mistakes, punctuation. Okay, a lot of times students make errors in their punctuation, say using a full stop or comma. And then vocabulary and spelling comes under this. So there might be a lot of spelling errors, and if you spend time proofreading, you can correct those errors. And you may also be able to revise, meaning rewrite poorly written sentences. You may find a sentence that you wrote, and it may not make sense. So you erase it and rewrite it, and then it makes more sense. Okay? So saving time at the end to proofread, to edit, is really beneficial, and it will help boost your band scores. Okay? It will help. So those are the 8-band tips that I want to talk to you guys about today. Now, those tips are: read and understand the task, plan your work, stick to the topic, include all the information that's required, use the correct format for the task, ensure proper paragraphing, go beyond the word limit, and then save time for proofreading. So that's it. That's it. Now, we had a quick, do you guys have any questions? Now is the time to ask me questions. Vishal, you asked me a question of how much time that you need to give for IELTS preparation now in total. Now, that really depends on the person and what your goal for IELTS is. So I would say if you're really good at English, it could be as little as 2 weeks maybe. But you have to be really good at English, okay? So if it's, but generally for most people, 1 month is reasonable. Sometimes if you're new to English and you're having difficulty, if you're a beginner with English, then you're going to need more time because you'll need to really work on improving your grammar and vocabulary. So for most people, 1 month is reasonable. So I don't know what that works for you, Vishal, but I hopefully answered your question. So are there any other questions? So we've had some more people enter. So if you have questions, do ask. But these were, again, these were the tips, those 8 tips, I believe, here. Will help you score 8 bands. Now, of course, you still need to work on grammar and vocabulary. You still need to work on writing overall to help yourself get to that. But these will help you ensure that you're going to, if you do these and you're not so great in grammar and vocabulary, you will score, 6, 6.5, maybe 7. But continue work on your grammar and vocabulary, and you'll get above 8. I guarantee. It just takes time, effort, and more importantly, practice. Now, for the essay, I really recommend that you guys watch my videos, my previous videos on the essays, over 2 months worth of videos in terms of, so we're talking about maybe 12 videos on essay writing. We talk about how to plan, how to write each individual part of the essay, how to write each particular essay type, as well as to planning. And I really encourage you guys to watch those. Those are here on YouTube. I've done lots of videos on speaking. Another one that will help with your writing is there's one I did on grammar for speaking that I believe will still be helpful for you here in for writing. And then I talked about, and it's again I did it for speaking, signal words and phrases. Those are important words that you use for both writing and speaking. So watch those videos here on YouTube. Also, be sure to follow us here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We have lots of free videos offering tips and strategies for you to score above 8 bands. So really watch those, follow us, like, comment on our content. We want to hear from you. And so it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I want to talk about my IELTS Tutor and what we offer. Now, my IELTS Tutor is the premium online IELTS training service, excuse me. And one moment, please. Sonia, just a little lower. Okay, am I still live? No, I'm paused. How do I pause it? Oh, no, here I am. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Let me share this again. And then we want slideshow. All right, sorry about that, guys. There was a disturbance here in the room. Okay, so my IELTS Tutor is the premium online training service, much better than a brick and mortar institute, and that's a good idiom for you. Brick and mortar means actual physical building. Okay, and the reason why I say it's superior than a brick and mortar building is because you get more attention. That's what makes this really really sets us apart. You get more attention. In brick and mortar institute, you're sitting in a classroom with 20 to 30 other students. Here, you're in a session with no more than 5. Most of the time, 2 students, 3 students, that's about it. And then you have one-to-one sessions, especially with speaking, okay? And if you want, we can offer individualized training where you meet with a trainer and there's no one else joining the session with you. So what this means is you get more time, more attention with the trainer than you would at anywhere else in an institute, okay? And these are the things that we offer our students: ebooks, one-to-one speaking, live reading discussions, proven tip and strategy, live sessions, which this is what we have on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, what those are. We have live listening, 8-band strategies for improving accuracy in reading and listening. And more importantly, we offer each student a customized study plan. And that's what we do. And so because of that, our students tend to score a lot higher than, say, other places. And so these are the primary instructors here at My IELTS Tutor, myself, Nana, and Ms. Amita. Together we have around 30 years of experience, and we have literally helped thousands of students achieve their goals in IELTS, okay? Literally, with that type of experience. And so we're committed, and let me show you some of our recent results, okay? So 7.5, 8 from what you can see, and and if you remember from the title of this slideshow, 8-man tips for writing, all of our strategies go for 8-man and higher tips because we want to focus on you achieving 8 bands. That's our goal for you, and we're going to do everything we can to help you achieve that score, okay? Those band scores, 8 bands. So, and for this reason, because of our commitment, this means that your bands are our responsibility. That's right. Your bands are our responsibility. So that's it for today. I want to thank you for joining us. Do comment, like, and share this video. Watch our other videos. Follow us here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Share our videos as well. Get the word out. And again, I really want to thank you for joining me. So it's a pleasure having you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. You guys take care. Bye for now.